Coping with Tre Tailor, giving you info and advice to help you thrive and survive in life, because we'll always be coping with something. Watching Coping. I'm Tre Tailor, giving you info and advice to help you thrive and survive in life, because we are always coping with something. Today, we are coping with cold and flu season. In the midst of COVID, which we are still dealing with, lots more people are having cold and flus, and it's really, really severe. Dr. Jane Kelly joins us. She is a physician and epidemiologist at the College of Charleston, former assistant epidemiologist at SCDHEC, to tell us what's going on and what we need to do. Dr. Kelly, thank you for joining us. It's a severe cold and flu season, I hear.
Well, that is what we're seeing nationwide, but certainly in South Carolina as well. And not just among children having colds, there's also respiratory syncytial virus, RSV. And that's something that typically occurs among children. It's an infectious disease. It's an upper respiratory infection, like the common cold. But we typically see it later in the year, in the later winter months, in December, January, February. But I'm hearing from my clinical colleagues that they're seeing it earlier. They have cases right now. And the disturbing thing is that it's not just children who get RSV. Adults can get RSV as well. And for some, it's like the common cold or maybe a really bad cold. But unfortunately, for some others, they can have severe illness, end up with a pneumonia, end up sick enough that they need to be in the hospital.
Wow. Is it because of COVID?
Well, I think it's because of, I think experts feel that it is sort of a secondary effect of, we spent much of last year masking, which was great for cutting down on COVID. And it had this extra bonus. It cut down on flu, it cut down on RSV. We just didn't see those to the extent that we usually do. Just didn't see them last year. Well, now that people are more and more unmasking, they're being exposed. It's as though they've had a vacation from flu and RSV for 2 years, and now it's back with a vengeance. So it's still a kind of a recommendation to be cautious. It is still worthwhile to avoid crowded indoor places. And if you have to be in a crowded indoor space for whatever reason, still reasonable to wear your mask. I know COVID, fortunately, so far so good. We're kind of stable. We're not seeing a huge surge, but we are seeing a surge in those other respiratory illnesses.
Wow. So how do you tell the difference between a cold, a flu, pneumonia, RSV, COVID? All of them are respiratory. So how do you know?
No, that's tough. That is tough. And really the only answer to really be able to distinguish them is doing a test. And so I have in my cabinet right now probably 8 COVID tests, because you can still get them for free. And I think it's very helpful to have one of those at home rapid tests. Gives you an answer within 15 minutes. Yeah. So if you're having symptoms, I would go there first and do a COVID test. If it's negative, then you have to think about, well, how sick am I? Are these mild symptoms? Do I have fever? If you have fever or chest pain or shortness of breath, or you're coughing up, yellow or green stuff, that's when it's time to see the doctor. Find out, what else could this be? Could this be pneumonia? Could this be bronchitis? Am I at risk for getting a worse infection? But you are right. Those early symptoms, it's tough to tell the difference.
Yeah. Are you contagious, and when are you contagious?
Sure. Anytime that you are coughing, sneezing, basically you are spraying virus particles around, and you are contagious. One of the real challenges with COVID has been that people are contagious for up to 48 hours or 2 days before they have symptoms. So that's why that's been really a challenge. And that's not true with the flu. The flu, you're contagious when you have symptoms. You're not really contagious in that period of time beforehand. I've already gotten my flu shot, which is a little bit earlier than I usually do. But knowing that the flu is upon us, and want to make sure that I am protected, I went ahead and got my influenza vaccine.
Hmm. So you do suggest that people go ahead and get their flu shots?
Absolutely. And we have good evidence that this particular influenza shot, every year it's a little bit of guesswork, not certain, is it going to cover the strains that are coming to the United States or
Yeah.
not? But this particular influenza vaccine, this particular flu shot covers multiple different influenza variants. So I think we have evidence that it will be highly effective in preventing influenza, or if you get the flu, in cutting down those symptoms and giving you just a mild case.
What about an additional flu COVID shot for those who only got two?
First of all, I know that there are still folks out there who have not gotten their COVID vaccine, and I
Any,
just
right?
want to reassure them. I certainly understand in the very beginning there were lots of doubts. This is new. People are unsure. We have had hundreds of millions of doses of vaccine given, and given safely. So I would really encourage people, if they haven't had a COVID vaccine, the primary series, to go ahead and do that. Even if you already had COVID. If you already had COVID, sure, you have some immunity. You are making some antibodies. But did you know you can cut your risk of getting reinfected in half if you get the vaccine? So the vaccine gives you that extra boost of immunity. What if you got the primary series? You got your 2 shots of Pfizer or Moderna. Do you really, really need a booster? Well, the evidence is not just in the United States, but in other countries around the world, that they really cut down on the chance of getting infected and getting that booster. And of people who got infected, because nothing in life is 100%. It's possible to get your booster and still get exposed and still get virus up your nose, get infected. Those people who had the booster were much less likely to end up severely ill or needing to be in a hospital. Where does that information come from? It comes from studies of healthcare workers, people who work in hospitals who are exposed repeatedly. It really has demonstrated that the booster shots for them cut down on infections and cut down how long they were sick if they got infected.
Dr. Jane Kelly joins us. She is a physician and epidemiologist. We're talking about cold and flu season in the midst of COVID, which, by the way, is still a thing. You mentioned, Dr. Kelly, making sure that people get their COVID booster shot. So those who got Pfizer and Moderna, they got one. They should have gotten another one. And you're suggesting, strongly suggesting, they get a third. Those who got J&J got one, should have gotten a booster, and then you're suggesting those people get their third also.
Yes. Now, I know there's some confusion with the number of boosters, and that there are some individuals who have already gotten as many as 5 boosters.
Wow.
But that not 5 boosters, 5 total shots.
Okay.
The 2 primary ones,
Sorry,
and 3 boosters. People who are immunocompromised, and that may be people on cancer medication or on steroid medication for autoimmune conditions. But even just being older, over age 50, your immune system is not as robust. It is not as strong. And it's very important to get that booster to help you through, especially this upcoming winter season.
Yeah.
Now, the newest booster is what's called a bivalent booster, which means it's the same as the original booster shot for both Pfizer and Moderna, original booster shot, but they've added to it. What they added to it was the exact formula to hit the Omicron subvariants, that B4 and B5 that you hear about, that seem to be taking over, that they're more predominant now. That bivalent booster, that new booster, has that little extra piece of information in there to stimulate your immune system against all of the variants.
Awesome. Will your COVID shot and your flu shot help you, build up antibodies or whatever? Will it protect you from not only flu, but colds, all of the upper respiratory stuff that's out there right now?
There may be some non-specific boosting of your immune system in general. Of course, it's not going to make, precise antibodies to a cold virus or an RSV, but there is some evidence that getting the flu shot and the COVID booster shot will help in a non-specific way, help build your immunity, help build your ability to fight off other infections. I got both my flu shot and my bivalent booster on the same day, just different arms. And for me, yeah, my arms were sore that night, but I took some Tylenol and I did fine. I didn't have any severe side effects. And that's what's been reported, that whatever you might have experienced with a booster in the past, getting this new booster, about the same degree of achiness or not feeling great for a day or two. But I'd much rather trade not feeling great for a day or two and not get COVID.
Yeah, yeah. I got my two COVID shots. I haven't gotten a booster yet, and I'm waiting for my flu shot to arrive in Columbia, South Carolina, as are the kids. But I'll tell you, last week, and the 4-year-old, she's in daycare, so which means she gets everything
Yep.
coming. And quite by mistake, because I try not to have them in my face, especially not kiss them, but she kissed me goodnight in my face, and I immediately kissed the 6-year-old. Within an hour, my throat started getting scratchy. And then this was last Wednesday. And then by Thursday, I was congested. The 6-year-old was congested. The 4-year-old was fine. And by Friday, I had the worst sinus pressure.
Oh.
And for me, the sinus pressure, the headache was worse than anything, because I could hardly keep my head up. And because I get migraines, anything could turn into, a migraine.
Yeah.
So anyway, I say all that to say, I just took a bunch of stuff. I just took some Dayquil, NyQuil, that kind of stuff. I rested Friday. I took the day off Friday, rested, and I did feel better. I'm still a little bit stuffy, a week later, but so much better than I was last Friday. So I say all that to say, what is the treatment for if you're feeling coldy, fluey, body aches, all of that? Is there one thing that's better than another?
That's a very individual thing. And I would have to say, first of all, coming into the winter months, it's almost impossible to avoid getting some sort of respiratory infection at some point. So, common sense prevails here. Wear your mask if you're going to be in a crowded situation. But what do you do when your 4-year-old has a runny nose? Life goes on, and it's true that you may contract something. The first thing first, though, is to make sure that you don't have serious illness. And when I say serious illness, kids run a fever pretty easily. As an adult, you're less likely to run a high temperature. What do I mean by a high temperature? More than 100.5. If you're running a fever more than 100.5, number one, you want to bring that temperature down by taking, there are a lot of different over-the-counter medications that you can use. I don't mean to promote one product over another, but acetaminophen or Tylenol, naproxen, Motrin, ibuprofen, there's a whole bunch of them. So it's like different things work for different people, whatever your personal favorite is. And remember, the pharmacist is your friend. If you're feeling like, oh, I'm not so sick, I need to go see the doctor. You can, if you're looking for over-the-counter medications, you can ask for advice from a pharmacist. Because trying to interpret all the chemical names on those boxes to what's going to be the best thing for your particular symptoms. So often it's just treating things symptomatically, like you did with just trying to take some medication to help dry up your sinuses. Yeah. But if you have fever, or you're short of breath, or coughing up a lot of colored mucus, especially if you have other medical problems, that's a time to think about, do you need to consult someone? Do you need to talk to your primary care clinician? It's fine to be treating mild symptoms at home with over-the-counter medicines. We just don't want to miss the beginning of a more serious illness. COVID in the very beginning and influenza for that matter can both just seem like a regular cold at first and then turn into something more serious.
Yeah, you're so right about different things work for different people. And I've found over the years, ibuprofen works best for me. I think for me, it's because it's an anti-inflammatory,
Mm-hmm.
and a liquid works better for me than a pill. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, and that just may be in my head. I just think it goes straight to the to the problem a little bit easier. So,
Mm-hmm.
and is that right? Does a liquid get into your system quicker
I,
than a pill?
that is such an, I don't know that that's ever really been studied
Okay,
carefully. It makes some intuitive sense to me that,
right.
you don't have to dissolve a capsule, you don't have to dissolve a pill. That makes sense to me that that liquid might be absorbed more quickly. But I don't know that I can say that with any real science behind it.
Right. It works for me. And like you said, Dr. Kelly, get what works for you. And
Yeah.
and you may have to try a couple of different things, but as you say, it's out there. It's cold and flu season. We've got COVID. We've got these upper respiratory things going on, and it's real. It's out there. And so make sure you're boosted up with COVID. You've got your flu shot. And then, listen, I still suggest that people wear their masks.
Mm-hmm.
I still
Mm-hmm.
suggest that people wear their masks.
I do as well. And I not just recommend it, I do it myself
Mhm.
as well. And I guess the other thing to put a plug in for is just healthy lifestyle. Food, it's long been said that food is the best medicine. What did we do before we had vaccines, before we had antibiotics? Who were the healthiest people? The
Yeah,
people who could eat well. And
yeah,
so eating a balanced diet, getting those vegetables in there because they've got, natural vitamins, minerals, things that you need. They help to boost your immune system.
mhm.
Getting enough sleep is an important factor. People underestimate how important that factor is in, boosting your immune system, improving your overall health.
You're
And
so right. I just want to jump in here because, like I said, last Friday when I took that medicine and I wasn't sleepy, but I said to myself, I am going to go to sleep and just rest my body.
yep.
I felt so much better when I woke up. And I'm not a
Mhm.
napper. I don't nap, but I needed that sleep. I could tell my body was rejuvenated.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's easy for me to sit here and say, "Oh yeah, get more sleep, get more exercise, eat healthfully." I know these things are a challenge, but to the extent that you can kind of work that into your daily routine, it is important. It's like paying yourself first. How you can take care of your family if you don't take care of yourself first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Jane Kelly joins us. She is a physician and epidemiologist at the College of Charleston. She's also the former assistant epidemiologist for SCDHEC. She joined us today to talk about cold and flu season. Get you some good tissues and listen, power through it because it's rough out there this year. Thank you, Dr. Jane. We appreciate you as always.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Judy Gatson. As a news anchor, wife, and mom, I know how important it is to take care of our health. Part of taking care of our health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is a serious health condition and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. It's estimated that more than 1.3 million South Carolinians have it, and up to 90% have no idea. Take a moment to visit inittogethersc.org to take an online test to find out your risk of prediabetes and how to join a diabetes prevention program that takes the guesswork out of losing weight, eating better, and being more active. You can learn new ways to stay healthy and sustain those changes over time. When you join, you'll even get support from a trained lifestyle coach to help you set and achieve realistic goals. Go to inittogethersc.org, brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday lives. But when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
Get Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Don't forget to go over to the End It Together Facebook page and YouTube channel. Hit like and share and follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel and find out about all of the diabetes prevention programs, healthy wellness and food tips for you to have a great quality of life. You deserve it. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel and get to getting, y'all. Get yourself together so that you can have a great quality of life. Listen, as always, we leave you with a inspirational reading. I'm going to do some Jesus calling for you today. This says, trust me in the midst of a messy day. Are you having one of those? Or did you have one yesterday? Your inner calm, your peace in my presence don't need to be shaken by what's going on around you. Though you live in this world, your innermost being is rooted and grounded in eternity. When you start to feel stress, detach yourself from the disturbances around you. Instead of desperately striving to maintain order and control in this world, relax and remember that circumstances cannot touch my peace. This is God talking. Seek my face, and I will share my mind with you, opening your eyes to see things from my perspective. Don't let your heart be troubled, and don't be afraid. My grace, my peace is sufficient for you today and every day. Man, that's some good word right there. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you so much for watching Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council. Until the next time, I wish you peace and abundant blessings. Take care. God bless. Stay well. And don't forget to wear your mask. You still need to do that, especially when you're out and about, over your nose and under your chin. We'll see you soon.
Coping, find peace of mind to survive through whatever. Coping, learning the way that we thrive all together. Coping, finding out what's real. Coping, we can heal, we can heal, we can heal. Coping with stress, coping with strife, bringing hope for success, for improving our life. Coping beyond hoping to do more than survive, ways to live a healthy life. Coping and promoting, learning what you can do, 6 ways to a better you. Coping, find peace of mind to survive